Hello everyone, and welcome to our channel. Today we're going on an exciting adventure through history, learning from the Quran. We'll talk about 5 amazing kings, and their stories have important lessons for everyone. The Quran isn't just a book for prayer, it's also a history book, a guide for today, and a light for the future. By learning about people from the past, we can learn how to live better lives and be closer to God. Let's explore the stories of these kings, their good times and bad times, their good deeds and mistakes. We'll learn important truths from their experiences, reminding us of God's great power and kindness. Remember, history shows us that good people who follow God are rewarded, and those who don't face consequences. Join me as we explore these stories of faith, bravery, and God's help. I hope these stories make you want to live a life that pleases God and leave a good mark on the world. The Quran tells us about Prophet Solomon, son of Prophet David. Solomon inherited a great kingdom and amazing wisdom from God. The Quran says, "And we bestowed upon David Solomon, an excellent servant, indeed he was ever turning back to us." This shows how Solomon was always devoted to God. His wisdom wasn't just being smart, it was a gift from God that let him talk to animals, control the wind, and even control the jinn. The Quran tells us how Solomon commanded the jinn to build beautiful palaces, mosques, and even get pearls from the ocean. This shows how much power God gave him. But with great power comes great responsibility. Solomon's story teaches us that real leaders are humble and thankful to God. The Quran tells us how he always thanked God for his blessings and never became arrogant. This is important for all of us, reminding us that everything we have is from God, and we should use it in a good way. Before Solomon, there was David, a brave and faithful king. The Quran describes him as a good and pious servant, chosen by God and given strength and wisdom. His story starts with young David facing the giant Goliath. With only his faith in God and a slingshot, David defeated Goliath. This victory isn't just about strength, it's about faith winning over fear, good over evil. It teaches us that with God's help, we can overcome any challenge. David also had a beautiful singing voice. When he sang the psalms given to him by God, it could move mountains and calm wild animals. This gift reminds us of the power of art and music to connect with God and find comfort during hard times. Unlike Solomon and David, the Quran tells us about Pharaoh, a ruler who was arrogant and cruel. Pharaoh ruled Egypt with oppression and didn't believe in God. He said he was a god and forced people to worship him. The Quran tells us about the conflict between Pharaoh and Prophet Moses. Moses, sent by God, told Pharaoh about the one true God and asked him to be righteous. But Pharaoh was too proud and refused to believe. Pharaoh's story shows us the danger of arrogance and what happens when we reject God's message. Even with many chances and clear signs from God, Pharaoh refused to believe, which led to his downfall. His story teaches us that worldly power doesn't last, and true power is in following God's will. The story of King Saul, or Talut in the Quran, shows us that even people chosen by God can make mistakes. The Quran tells us that God chose Talut to lead the Israelites against their enemies. He was strong, wise, and a good leader. But even though he started out good, Talut became proud and disobeyed God. The Quran tells us how Talut, after a victory, told his army not to drink from a certain stream. But many were thirsty and disobeyed. Instead of being kind, Talut punished them. This disobedience was a turning point. He lost God's favor, and his kingdom fell apart. His story reminds us that leadership is a test from God, and true success comes from obeying God and being humble. The Quran tells the story of a powerful and arrogant king, probably Nimrod, who challenged God. His story, connected to the story of Prophet Abraham, shows the fight between faith and disbelief, between following God and wanting power. Nimrod was a cruel king who forced people to worship idols. He didn't believe in God and made his people do the same. When Abraham told people to worship God, Nimrod was angry and threatened him, but Abraham stayed strong in his faith, even when Nimrod threatened to burn him alive. God protected Abraham, showing that Nimrod's power was nothing. Nimrod's story reminds us that all power comes from God, and those who challenge him will face his justice. As we finish our look at these kings, let their stories guide us. Remember that true success isn't about money or power, but about pleasing God and following his guidance. I hope their good choices inspire us to do good, and their bad choices warn us against pride, disobedience, and wanting worldly things more than God. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please like, share, and subscribe for more. Your support helps us share messages of peace, knowledge, and understanding. Tell us in the comments which historical figure you want us to talk about next. May God guide us to live good lives and leave a positive impact on the world. Thank you, and see you next time.